Alrighty, welcome to another episode of Grow with a Box. My name is Linus. I'm a trans dude. I live in Seattle. So I thought I'd start off this episode by going through this stack of mail that I received from my many, many viewers. Let's just see if there's anything good. This is my testosterone letter. This is a letter that I got from a healthcare professional, from a mental health professional, that essentially says that I'm not crazy. I'm not hearing voices that are telling me to transition, and I'm most likely not going to sue anybody. You know what? Let me just read you a bit. A lot of medical gobbledygook. Um, During my meetings with Linus, he did 100 push-ups on his bare knuckles, did a shot of pure, unleaded gasoline, and then wrestled a jaguar to the ground using a sleeper hold. When I advised him about the possible side effects of testosterone therapy, he shouted, "Hells yeah, pump me full of that man juice," did a chest bump with the jaguar, leapt out the window, and landed on a motorcycle. He subsequently used that motorcycle to jump several barbed wire fences, elude the Germans, and cross the border into Switzerland, succeeding where Steve McQueen failed. Boom. Her words, not mine. Um, it's actually the exact opposite of that. There was a time when, if you wanted to transition, you needed to go to a therapist for a year or however long. There were these guidelines, and they were sort of like these gatekeepers. And they said that you were, masculine enough or feminine enough, and they decided whether you had to transition or not. I'm really lucky. I went to Seattle Counseling Center. I found a really great mental health care professional whose focus was more on my well-being and about me making healthy decisions than about fitting me into whatever gender box. So this letter I take to a primary care provider, and I get to actually I don't know exactly what happens, but this will enable me essentially to start a prescription for testosterone. And I want to take a few minutes to talk about some of the health risks associated with testosterone. Since to celebrate getting this, because I think there are some misnomers about testosterone. People hear the word steroid, and they hear the word testosterone and they think steroids, and they start thinking about the health risks that people deal with for uh, taking steroids to get performance edge. And also, I think there are a lot of misnomers about the health risks of transitioning. Um, I encounter this really weird transphobia sometimes where people kind of have they get where I'm coming from, or they get where people, like transgender people, are coming from. But there's this attitude of, but how can you do that to your body? And or I'll find like a website, and I'll find stuff where people are talking about, they're using words like mutilation, or to compare people that are transitioning to anorexia. Side note: if you are dealing with an eating disorder, um, keep fighting. Big ups to you. You have nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not trying to talk down about people that are battling eating disorders. Um, but in the long run, eating disorders can be quite detrimental to your health, while transitioning is not. So let's talk about some of the health risks. Actually, let's talk about testosterone. Testosterone is a hormone. It's a growth hormone. It's produced in both genetically male and genetically female bodies. Um, it's generally associated, like higher dosages of it are generally associated with secondary sex characteristics that we associate with masculinity. So when I start testosterone therapy, I'm going to start getting some facial hair. I'm going to get some redistribution. Well, I mean, it's not something that a lot of genetic guys deal with, but for me, I'm going to get some redistribution of body fat, um, Adam's apple, probably some more body hair, um, and I'll be taking a synthetic version of that hormone. So let's talk about the short-term and the long-term health risks of testosterone. Infection. People that are usually transitioning, there are lots of ways to get testosterone into your body. Uh, there's gels, and they have this pellet. But usually, the cheapest and the quickest way to transition for dudes, for trans dudes, is usually injection. And if you're not practicing good technique, then you run the risk of getting an infection. What else? The biggest thing honestly, in the long run, one of the things that trans guys really need to be thinking about is their cardiovascular health. And that's something that actually affects a lot of people. It affects trans guys, it affects genetic, cisgendered, XY guys, and it affects female women, people that have gone through menopause. Because estrogen gives you a certain level of protection against cardiovascular disease that either is lost or it was just never there. So if you are a trans guy and you're starting testosterone therapy, you really need to be thinking about eating properly and getting cardio. Um, I'm not in a real high risk bracket personally because I've been a vegetarian for almost 20 years and I rode for 2 years in college. I have a resting heart rate of about 64. I do love salt though, and some high blood pressure runs in my family, so I need to be mindful of that. What else? Osteoporosis. Estrogen helps lend to bone density. So if you're starting testosterone therapy, you need to be looking at your diet and talking to your healthcare professional. Um, Another thing that can happen is if you are taking too much testosterone, that can, if you're not following a healthcare professional's guidance, then taking too much testosterone can actually elevate your risks for diseases associated with too much estrogen. So if you are taking testosterone, then you really need to be under the supervision of a healthcare professional, somebody with some letters behind their name. So let's get into the nitty gritty. Oh, cancer, big C. I think a lot of people associate cancer with testosterone, uh, which is not really entirely true. Um, there is no peer-reviewed study currently that associates testosterone with cancer in trans guys. Now, here's the thing: the jury's actually still a little bit out. The problem is it's a small community. It's hard to get a really good, solid study done. There possibly might be some correlation between testosterone and polycystic ovarian syndrome, which the endometrial tissue in your uterus, if you're a trans guy who hasn't had a hysterectomy, there might be some issues with developing polycystic ovarian syndrome, but again, that's a big maybe. There are no major obvious correlations. It's not like any primary care providers are providing their writing prescriptions for testosterone, and then 5 or 10 years later, all the trans dudes that they've been seeing are coming in with, some sort of ovarian cancer or like, nasal cancer or something. So the jury's still out. Honestly, I would love to see more research done, but there's no strong, obvious correlation. It's something that we need to study more. Uh, Frankly, trans guys, you are at risk. You're now at risk for cervical and breast cancer. And it's not because of testosterone. It's because guys aren't going out and getting screened. And I know it sucks, but how many guys are psyched about? How many dudes are psyched about going to their gynecologist, right? So, if you're a trans guy, please talk to your primary care provider. Talk to them about getting a mammogram or getting a pap smear because you gotta get screwed. Um, those are really some of the side effects of testosterone, some of the possible health risks. All of them, frankly, can be mitigated and managed. You need to be talking to your primary care provider. You need to be thinking about your health. And like I said, like the cardiovascular stuff, that's stuff that pretty much everybody needs to be thinking about. Heart disease is one of the leading killers in the U.S., and there's no reason for it. So, if you are thinking about starting with testosterone, this is not medical advice. I'm not a healthcare provider. If you're thinking about it, you really need to talk to a primary care provider. They're going to give you some really good advice, some really good information. Um, but this is not medical advice. Hopefully, it's just some information you can use to educate yourself, keep reading, keep learning about what you're putting in your body. That's about it. I will keep updating. I really want to do some videos about some of the other aspects of transitioning that I think that are not always well understood, and some of the health benefits and risks that are associated with them. And I will keep you updated because with any luck, I will have a prescription for testosterone fairly soon. And I guess that's all the news I have for you right now. So thanks for watching.